Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the abnormally scheduled board meeting for Thursday, January 9th, 2025. It's 9:32 in the morning. I'd like to call this meeting to order and acknowledge that the Sunshine Coast Regional District is located on the traditional territories of the Sechelt and Squamish Nations. Directors, we've got an agenda in front of us. Nothing overly onerous to ease us back into the new year, but is there anything to add or change on the agenda? If not, I'd look for a motion to adopt as presented, moved and seconded. All those in favor? That's carried, thank you. First up, we have the regular board meeting minutes of December the 12th, 2024, starting on page 3 of the agenda, item 3.1. Directors, are there any errors or omissions in those minutes? If not, I would look for a motion to adopt, moved and seconded. All those in favor? Thank you. All right, moving right along to item 6.1. Can I have a motion to receive all reports? Thank you. Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Carried. Committee of the Whole meeting recommendations 1 through 7 of December 12th, 2024. Before we endorse the block, are there any that directors would like to pull for separate consideration? This is starting on page 16 of our agenda package. If not, can I have a motion to endorse the block? Moved, seconded. All those in favor? And that is carried. All right, moving on to item 6.2, Electoral Area Services Committee meeting recommendations 1 through 8 of December 19th, 2024, starting on page 20. Again, directors, are there any that you would like to pull for separate consideration or discussion? And if not, may I have a motion to endorse the block? Moved, seconded. Thank you, seconded. All those in favor? And that's carried. Okay, moving right along, item 6.3, page 24 in our agenda package, cross-control connection program. And with that, we'll turn it over to staff.
Thank you very much. I think my staff are underway here, but I will just introduce the report on their behalf. And when they come in, they will be able to answer any more questions you might have. So as part of the round 1 budget process, staff presented the report, a budget proposal for the introduction of a cross-connection control program, which is a requirement we have to have such a program under the Drinking Water Protection Act. Currently, we have a bylaw, which is over 20 years old, and we don't have a fully implemented program in place. And the board requested additional information on what a program should include and why we need to have it. And we hope to provide the information requested by the board in this report. Staff are here to answer any questions you might have.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Director McMahon?
Right. I understand this mainly involves larger and commercial properties. So how many connections are we talking about here?
Thank you very much for your question. Currently, we don't have that overview of the number of questions yet. So that's something that we would need to be confirmed in the first phase of this project, is really to review everything that we have, where we have documentation on where cross-connection control devices are installed, and do an inventory of an assessment of where they should be installed and confirm the gap between what we have and what is not there. Thank you.
Thank you. Director Bax?
Yeah, thank you. I understand the need and the requirement for this system to be put into place. I was wondering, because we do occasionally share water with the town of Gibsons, does anyone have any information on how the town of Gibsons has dealt with this issue?
Did you guys want to take that question now that you've joined us?
Thank you for the question, Chair. I believe that the town of Gibson's had a program initially, but currently they don't have a cross-connection control program as well.
Okay, thank you. Director McMahon?
Yeah, understanding, I mean, we do need to do this sooner or later. The question I have, though, is we have been struggling with staffing and infrastructure, and we have a lot of projects. What would happen if we deferred this for a year?
Think,
Think
Thank-
that, well, I was going to say, I think it might actually be a more prudent question for next week when we're looking at the budget proposals. Yeah, right now it's just sort of the information about what the program is. Because that question did come up during agenda review, and we're thinking it would be better to wait on that until the budget meeting next week, so. All right, Director Bax?
Yeah, I wonder, is this system going to be, so mainly it goes to commercial projects, commercial properties, or properties that deal with with commercial water use. And I wonder if the cost is going to be borne by the property owner, or to what extent the regional district is going to be involved in implementing this.
Thank you for the question. Through the chair, this would be mainly borne by the property owner, and generally with an industrial, commercial, or institutional buildings, and possibly multifamily as well. And the SCRD will just be responsible for ensuring that they're completing the tests and that we're maintaining a record of how often they're doing the tests.
Thank you. Yeah, follow up?
Yeah, I wonder if there's a possibility that we could inform these property owners and ask them to voluntarily comply as soon as possible?
Well, part of it is knowing what infrastructure is out there to start with, because it is a program that has existed in a form for, well, since 1996, when the bylaw was adopted.
And I'm
So
sure
it's
that,
making sure that everybody's on the same playing field to start with, right?
and I'm sure that there are some people that require this type of cross-connection that are unaware of it. And I was wondering if we can make it, part of the project is making people aware,
Yeah,
correct?
Yep.
And then giving them an opportunity to voluntarily comply.
I mean, yes.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Director Bax. Director Stamford, because you haven't had a chance to speak, and then Director McMahon.
Thank you, Chair. I don't really have a sense of what this potential cost is to individual connection. We are looking at multifamily units potentially, and sometimes those are the units we've been looking at for supporting housing. And what kind of costs could be borne by this? Is there any rough numbers available?
GM Rosenboom, I saw you put your hand up there.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. The rate structure is part of what will need to be confirmed, the proposed rate structure. And as part of that, consideration could be given to the type of connection and or the function of the building.
Thank you. I mean, honestly, when I look at this, I don't see it as much more needing to be much more onerous than making sure your building has a working fire alarm system, right? That's something that has to be tested and records kept on an annual basis. And other than the actual inspection cost, there isn't really much ongoing cost to bear. Director McMahon?
Yes, and I'm assuming that this would apply to all of our water systems, but primarily Chapman. Is that correct?
Yes, it would apply to all of our water systems, but most of the industrial, commercial ICI buildings are in Chapman system.
Great, thank you very much. And that was the last hand on my speakers list. This is just here for information, so directors, unless there are any last second burning questions, we will move on. Excellent, thank you very much. And okay, next up, 6.4 in our agenda. Starting on page 28, we have the Solid Waste Management Plan PTAC minutes of November 27th. Directors, the minutes are a little more verbose than they have been in the past. And we were talking about this during agenda review as well, and I think it's a good thing, because when we're not there, we don't always have all the information. And so just looking for any feedback if directors wanted to see something different out of the minutes coming from this committee. But otherwise, any questions, discussion, Director McMahon?
Well, I did attend that meeting and I found it really useful, so I encourage directors to attend these because they aren't recorded, obviously. So I would agree with providing a somewhat more detailed minutes.
Okay, thank you. And I don't think there were any recommendations in there that we needed to action. Nope. So we've already received those. And with that, we will move on to item 7.1 on page 32. This is communications from Alexis Bach, the Roberts Creek Community School Society. And Director Bax, this is your area.
Yes, it is. And I would ask the board to direct staff to create a letter of support for this fine project so the idea is that they've made a grant application to the gaming grants, and our support is will go a long way to allowing the gaming grant organization to recognize that we recognize the importance of the work that they are doing.
So that's a motion to provide a letter of support?
That is a motion to provide a letter of support.
All right, thank you, and I've got several seconders. Any discussion or debate on the motion? If not, I will call the question. All those in favor? And that is carried. Excellent. Thank you very much, Director Bax, and for Alexis for bringing this up. We have no motions. We have no bylaws. We do have directors' reports. Granted, we've been off and, it's been Christmas break. You are welcome to provide an update if you have one, but otherwise don't feel pressured. We'll start with Director Lee.
Well, other than reporting that we had a successful Christmas boat parade, it was a lot of fun and well received by the community. It was postponed today, but that's all. So that was good, and that's about all I have to report. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Lee. Director Inkster.
Thank you, Chair. Not a lot to report, just one little quick problem statement. We've had problems with the ferries lately, as everyone knows, and we're pushing for quicker to larger ferries and more ferries on the runs, and there's no FAC. So we have to get our heads around the fact that there's no advocacy. So other than individuals that are deciding to advocate, but there's no, what's the communications and or plan behind those advocacies, as you know? So we need to get our head around that with no FAC, which does a lot of the work that you may have to do or the mayors may have to do. And they have their individual ideas, but without an FAC that goes to the community to look to see what the community is looking for, including to the service to the islands, there's not as much community input, we would say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure.
So we need to keep that in mind going forward because there's a summer season coming, and if this keeps happening, and it's just we don't do an ongoing communication rather than reactive, because that's what water seemed to be a reactive file. So we got to get ahead of these things. Fire, flow, and ferries is my concerns. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Director McMahon.
Yes, I too was on a break. The only thing that I would draw to our attention that's been happening in Elphinstone is high tides. Ocean Beach Esplanade is now flooding at the foot of Harry Road when there's a combination of high tide, storm surge, and high creek flow because the estuary of the creek is eroding the base of the road. And residents are watching this situation with apprehension and asking me what we're going to do about it, which of course the answer is it's provincial. But it is an issue. Thanks.
Thank you. Director Gabius.
Thank you, Chair. Not much to report on, but just to follow up on Director McMahon's report, there is a photo contest, King Tide, coming up. So get your cameras out and take some pictures. And also just seeing what's happening in California right now is, I mean, we seem to get a lot of those reminders now all the time that it's good to be prepared for evacuation, good to be prepared to shelter in place, and would encourage everybody at home to prepare their emergency kits. It's now a good time to do that. Thank you.
Happy New Year. Director Bax.
Yeah, I attended the APC meeting last month, and so did many members of my OCPC. And there is a great deal of public interest in the OCP renewal project coming forward. I attended the Christmas Day potluck dinner. I made sugared carrots for 150 people. It was a great success, as it always is every year. And I was out on the highway yesterday videotaping the tree experts taking down a trouble tree, which I called in earlier this week to Capilano. It was a 24-inch alder that was windblown a month and a half ago. That was tied up in a couple of other trees, and they successfully removed it, and that and a bunch of other trees along the highway. And so there's less danger of trees falling onto the highway within the confines of Roberts Creek. So that's great.
Thank you, Director Bax. I actually have noticed that in the last number of weeks with the amount of windstorms we've had, all the trees that have come down on power lines, come down and blocked our roads. I'm noticing a lot more trees that have been cut back quite extensively from the roads. So I hopefully that's a preventative maintenance program that comes in handy. Director Paul.
Thank you. Nothing really to report except for it was a good holiday season. No big problems happened and stuff, so it's a good win.
Quiet for you in your area. That's fantastic. Director Stamford.
Thank you. I'd just like to highlight the several great New Year's events that occurred in Area F around Hopkins Landing, Keats, and on Gambier. They're always well supported, the polar bear swims, so that's been good. On Gambier, the Gambier Island Community Association is moving forward with its REDIP funding and providing actual actioned programming through the funding, and they're supporting recycling runs and working with SCRD staff to coordinate recycling opportunities on the island. I do continue to be challenged by adequately supporting the needs of the Grantham Landing community and the continuing problems that they have. They're multi-jurisdictional and difficult, but I'm trying to commit to getting at least better communication out and trying to find solutions to an area that is particularly challenged by a variety of difficulties. So I'm hoping to work towards that in the coming months. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much, Director Stamford. I don't really have anything to report, so I think I'm going to take a pass this week. We have no new business. Unlike you, Director Bax, I didn't have a snagged tree as my Christmas season highlight, so. Absolutely. I don't have anything to report. You don't have to speak during a director's report. However, we do have an in-camera session, so can I have a motion that the public be excluded from attendance at the meeting in accordance with section 91 AECK and 2B? Moved and seconded. All those in favor? And that is carried. Do we have any questions from the gallery? If not, we will go in camera. And welcome back to the regular board meeting for Thursday, January 9th, 2025. That concludes our in-camera portion, so I would look for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Moved, seconded, all those in favor, and that is carried. Thank you very much.